Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in honor of this Dragon tournament going on in-game right now, where we can only use Orc champions to clear the Dragon's Lair, I have an epic build that can solo clear this, an epic that a lot of you probably don't use very often. So I'm going to be showcasing a couple different builds of that and showing you how I am going to be going after this Dragon tournament happening right now. So let's get into it. Alrighty, now first of all, whenever you see specialized tournaments like this, that they can take some resource investment to make work, and a lot of times you have to ask yourself if it is going to be worth it or not. Typically, there needs to be something special on the right side. You need either something like this, where it is some awakening mechanic points, or you need a void shard, or a sacred shard, or a legendary book. Probably one of those four things to really make it worth it. But the nice thing about these specialized tournaments is they're harder for you, but they're also harder for everyone else. So typically, you need a lot less points to win these and finish up in the top two, where you can also get some decent relentless gear and also some rank charms to go along with everything you're getting over on the right side. In this case, we do have some awakening mechanics, so I think if it's realistic to clear this event, don't wail out for it or anything, but if it's realistic for you to put together a team for this tournament, I could see how it would make sense, and I have a fun build to show you just for that. And the champion that I'm going to be using for this Orcs only Dragon tournament is going to be Torture Helm. Now, Torture Helm is not an amazing epic by any stretch of the imagination. He's not a super famous one like a Madame Saris or a Seer or something, but he does have a very unique passive right here. Revive the champion with 50% HP when killed on only a 3-turn cooldown, making him a good candidate for solo clears because he can keep himself alive. And what I did was I tried out 2 different builds on him so we could see which one is better. And then I'm going to show you how the run works, how the build works, and my final conclusion as to building Torture Helm for this context of solo clearing the dragon, what stage I'm going to be doing, and all of that. So your once a week reminder to make sure and subscribe down below, because I'm always testing out tons of different builds, collaborating with all sorts of different content creators, and I will do everything I can to keep you in the loop for Raid Shadow Legends. But you can see here that the 2 different builds I went with, one was trying to get some value out of the Fury set because we're going to do more damage based on HP lost, and then the other one that I went with was a Toxic set, so we can constantly get those poisons proccing and get some extra ticks of damage when we're going through. And this was the build that ended up being somewhere between like 40 and 50 seconds faster, depending on RNG, was the Toxic version of the build. And one thing that is really nice about clearing stage 20 for a Force Affinity champion is that we get that bonus 15% crit rate. So you'll notice that I only have 67% crit rate, but when we add 15%, that makes us all the way up at 82%, and we only need to be at 85%. So it would be ideal for me to get to 70%, similar to a Cold Heart when you're trying to make sure you're always critting. I would like to get that to 70%, but I noticed that the time was still pretty decent. I mean, when you have a solo epic clearing Dragon 20, if you're doing it around 3 minutes for a specialized tournament that you're not going to be doing permanently, I think that's perfectly acceptable, and I was able to kind of make it work with only 60-something% crit rate because of those reasons. And I will also make sure to link to that graphic down below. That way, in case you want to pull it up on your end and take a look at anything as well. Then also, people are usually curious about the Masteries. So let me pull that up and let me move myself out of the way if you want to screenshot that or anything. So pretty typical. We're going with crit rate, obviously, crit damage. We are going to be doing this with food. So we want the Whirlwind of Death to get the extra speed, a little bit of healing because we're usually going to be damaged pretty hard with this build, and then scaling down the 3 on the bottom left, obviously, to do a lot more damage during the run. And then kill streak is nice because everything that dies is going to be killed by Torture Helm. And then over on the right, a pretty typical route, but we do want to make sure we are getting the increased speed because we are going to be losing food champions during this run. So that is going to be a great option, and there are the Masteries if you would like to screenshot them right now. And I did also book my Torture Helm. It was during CVC, and I was going to be using him for a specialized tournament, double dipping the points during a clan vs clan. So I figured, why not go ahead and test him. And if you're curious, it does take 4 plus 4 is 8 epic books to go ahead and max him out. Can you do it without books and masteries? Probably. Admittedly, I didn't test it that way. I probably should have, but he would probably need some pretty good gear to make that happen. He does. There are some times where he's dying during the run on that 3-turn cooldown and needing to revive himself right here with the passive. So just keep in mind, if you're doing this without investing the books and masteries, you're probably going to need pretty good gear. I would say the books are more important than the masteries. It would be a little bit easier to do it without the masteries compared to doing it without the books, probably. So, okay, let's go ahead and talk about the run and how it works. Now, I think it's a good opportunity to use Torture Helm and this specific build in Dragon 20 because you are getting that extra 15% crit rate by the strong affinity, also hitting strong and all of that, and he'll take less damage, he'll get hit weak, so it's just a perfect opportunity. And Dragon 20 is perfectly fine because if you're using him in the context of a tournament or something going on, you actually get more points per energy spent in Dragon 20 than even in level 24 or 25 because they take so much more energy compared to just the 16 right here in Dragon 20. So don't feel bad about putting this together and only doing Dragon 20. It is perfectly fine and viable. Make sure you have food in there because you are going to be getting some bonus stats and the damage and the speed if you take the right masteries and get the extra effects from food champions being dead. Now, let me see if RSL Helper is going to be showing the proper stats. Yeah, you see the 67% crit rate. So let me crop that in while we're talking during the run so you can see these stats over there on the right side. Now, something to note about this run is it is a little bit annoying that you have to deal with apothecaries who can keep champions alive, but we want to showcase the run on full auto. We don't want to be targeting champions during a build typically because when you're doing runs that are 3 minutes long, you're not going to want to sit here and watch it the whole time. This is the type of thing you kind of load up, you set your multi-battles or whatever, and you let it run and you let it finish, or you use your RSL helper or whatever. And basically, he's going to target the apothecary last with the AI, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it ends up being perfectly fine. And you can see that usually his killing blow is going to be on the bloodlust ability, which is a cooldown ability. That's where the majority of the damage is going to come from. Now, it is nice to build him in high resistance. I did not do that. You can see I've only got 178 resistance. If you can swing getting him in like 300 resistance, that would be nice because then he won't be getting debuffed with the attack down and the speed down and the different stuff that they place on him. So definitely a good option if you've got good enough gear to think about doing that to stop him from being debuffed. And you would want to get up there around like 280, 300 resistance or something like that. But you can see every time he dies, he's able to go ahead and respawn because he's cycling through with enough speed over there at the 220 speed, plus the bonus that he gets from dead allies and even stealing the increased speed buff you see there. He doesn't place any buffs on himself, but he kind of does because he steals buffs from opponents. There we go with the revive coming back online and stealing a buff right there, stealing a buff right there. So that it is nice to get him with the accuracy. And you can see that I've got the different set bonuses of the toxic and what was it? It was crit damage. Yeah, toxic and crit damage because that bloodlust ability can hit super hard, well, relative to his other abilities, as long as you've got enough crit damage for it. You see the 174,000 right there that he hit. And right here, you can see we're on the boss fight itself. This is really where the toxic set, you can see there, toxic ticked for like 70 something thousand right there with 23 times 3. Well, no, that would be, well, there it was. That was a bunch of ticks. But you can see that you're going to be, every turn the dragon takes, you can get like a bonus between like 60 and 100k damage depending on how many toxic procs you have gotten onto the boss during that iteration. And it kind of speeds up the run. You can see that without it, if I pull up the other ones, let me scale this up. Yeah, so right there. Okay, so build 1, you can see we didn't have the toxic set and we were up at like 350, and then build 2 with the toxic set we were down around 310, and we'll see if that is consistent here on this run. What will the time be? And there we go. We did it in 3 minutes. So we did it even faster than on the graphic. And you can see that the toxic set does end up shining out superior to the Fury set. The Fury set giving you the bonus damage. The toxic set giving you all of those poison procs, doing the 23k constantly on the boss. Really helps you burst it down and saves about 30 seconds to 1 minute on the run compared to just going damage on Fury. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this fun look at a niche epic champion and some crazy things we can do in solo clearing Dragon 20 for specialized tournaments, specialized events, and even if you just want a non-legendary option to be able to use your energy efficiently and level up food while you're dungeon farming, consider this Torture Helm build as an option that might be out there for you. So remember, I will link to this graphic down below if you would like to pull it up on your end and look at the picture, and also I will timestamp down below where the masteries were if you would like to rewind to that and pause or anything to pull up the masteries. But yeah, that'll do it for me on this one. As always, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.